Hi everyone, how was my last tutorial about the similar persons and things in both the English and the German languages? Do comment in the comment section. Now in this tutorial, I will cover a new grammar topic, which is the irregular verbs. Now, whenever beginners hear the irregular verbs, they tend to freak out. But please do not panic, as I will try my best to show you that the irregular verbs are not as difficult as they sound in the German language. So till now, I have shown the conjugations of only two irregular verbs in my previous tutorials. One is the verb sein in tutorial 6, part 1, and the other is the verb haben in tutorial 11, part 1. So do check out these tutorials. The rest of the verbs that I mentioned in my previous tutorials were all regular verbs. So let's first have a look at these regular verbs once again before I cover the irregular verbs. So moving on. The box here shows all the regular verbs that I have covered in my previous tutorials. Regular verbs in German are called regelmäßige Verben, and irregular verbs are unregelmäßige Verben. Now, to understand the difference between the regular and the irregular verbs, you need to first understand the structure of verbs. Now, in German, any verb is made up of the word stem, and the stem, you might have heard, is the central part of a tree, or the bark that we sometimes call. This stem is the main part of any tree from which come the branches and the leaves, etc. So just like a tree has a stem, every word has a stem too. And this stem is der Stamm in German. The word stem becomes der Wortstamm. And this word stem is represented by the blue part of the verbs in this box. And this is the part of the word or the verb that will not change but remain as it is. Now, every word and every verb has one or more vowels. A vowel is der Vokal. Then every word and every verb has an ending, of course, and that is die, Wort, Endung, where die Endung is the ending and das Wort refers to the word. So in German verbs, the word ending is with en most of the time or with n, as in some cases. For example, this verb wandern, which is to go hiking. Then some verbs in the German language will also have what we call the prefix in English, which is a 2 or 3 letter word coming before the main verb. And such verbs I have covered just 2 in the German language, auskommen and ausfüllen. This prefix is in German die Vorsilbe. Now, when the regular verbs are conjugated in the German language, there is no change in any vowel or vowels in the verb. And since the vowel or vowels don't change, therefore the word stem will also not change. The verb ending will change, of course, as the verb is conjugated in the German language. And verbs that have prefixes like aus, but there are other prefix verbs in German language also. But when we conjugate such verbs, then this prefix comes to the end of the verb when the verb is conjugated. Check out my tutorial 6 and tutorial 13 for these two verbs, auskommen and ausfüllen, which I have conjugated for you in those tutorials. Now let's quickly have a look at the conjugations of two verbs from this table, sagen, to say, and reiten, to write. So moving on. Now, as I already mentioned, the word or the verb stem for regular verbs will not change. But of course, as these regular verbs are conjugated, the ending will change. Now, most of the regular verbs will have the conjugations like the verb sagen conjugation, as you can see here. Ich sage, du sagst, sie sagen, sie es sagt, wir sagen, ihr sagt, sie sagen. I say, you say, and by you I mean the informal you. Then there is the formal you, sie sagen, he, she, it says, we say, ihr, I refer to two or more people, say, and they say. Then why I chose the verb reiten to show you is because verbs with word stems ending in T will have slight differences in the conjugations. So the differences are that the second person singular gets an E, as you can see here, before the ST. And the third person singular, he, she, it, also gets an E before the T. The rest of the forms are similar to the way sagen is conjugated. Reiten means to ride, and to ride a horse, for example. So, ich reite, du reitest, sie reiten, sie, es reitet, wir reiten, ihr reitet, and sie reiten. Now, most of the regular verbs will have the conjugated form similar to the verb sagen's conjugation, but for verbs that have the stem ending in T, they will have this form of conjugation. Also, for the irregular verbs, the structure of the verbs is different when those verbs are conjugated. And this is what will come in the next part. So do stay updated for part 2 of this tutorial. Thank you.